I believe everybody has the Events Air application in your mobile phone. There you will see what's happening for the fair, the agenda for today, and also for I think that will also be the avenue for you to raise your questions on our panel discussion session. ADB Board of Directors, members of the ADB Management, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Greetings to all the participants of ADB's Business Opportunities Fair 2023, and we welcome you to Asian Development Bank. For those who came from another country, welcome to Manila, my beloved country, the Philippines. I am Angelica Bautista Alejandro. You may call me Gigi throughout the fair, and I will be your host for the mornings of the fair. After a long period of working remotely, ADB opens its doors to an in-person event, just like today. We are delighted to see many consultants, contractors, suppliers, manufacturers, representatives from NGOs, and civil society organizations who came to Manila to learn about the various business opportunities offered under ADB finance projects. The Business Opportunities Fair, also known as BOF, is a two-day event full of different sessions, presentations, and panel discussions. Hopefully, by the end of tomorrow, we'll all have a good understanding of ADB's growing portfolio, sectoral and thematic understanding of ADB's growing portfolio, sectoral and thematic priorities, and business opportunities available to each and every one of you. Now, to officially open the Business Opportunities Fair 2023, please welcome ADB's Vice President for Administration and Corporate Management, Mr. Bruce Gosper.
Thank you, Gigi. Dear distinguished guests, ADB board members, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's a real pleasure to welcome you to the ADB's first in-person business opportunity event since the pandemic. Our last event was held in 2019, and we are really delighted to have you all here today. We have a diverse group of participants from more than 66 countries, including consultants, contractors, suppliers, manufacturers and service industry representatives, representatives from NGOs, civil society, and academia. And we've got participants from various embassies and trade commissions, and I'd like to acknowledge the support and efforts they've made in promoting this event. I'd like to thank all of you for your attendance and interest in doing business with ADB. Our support to developing member countries and collaboration with international business communities has always been a strong focus, even during crises. Now, many of you who have been to this event before will note on your return to the building all the things that we've changed during the course of the pandemic. This room, the staff hub, you'll see an innovation lab just down the corridor. We've not wasted time in improving some of these things. But more important, are some fundamental things that we've been working to change within the bank. We're developing a new operating model which will put us even closer to clients and sharpen our value add. You might have read in the last few days that we've looked at our capital adequacy and envisage being able to provide up to another $100 billion over the next 10 years. And we're looking to develop our partnerships to ensure that we've got the best possible collaboration to deliver real value to our clients and to help them address their fundamental problems. During the next 2 days, we will share with you our thoughts on all this, but we'll also share with you practical examples and presentations from experts, demonstrating how we continue to support our clients in addressing the challenges of poverty, climate change and disaster events, the digital divide, and many other issues. I hope you take advantage of this to learn and discuss with ADB people how we can collectively do better, but also share knowledge with yourselves. And I hope you really get great value from all of that. So thank you for your support. We look forward to working closely with you over the next few days, and I look forward to seeing you during the course of the event. And I hope you really enjoy it, your time here in Manila. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice President Gosper, for your very clear and encouraging message for highlighting the significance of ADB's Strategy 2030, its operational priorities, and ADB's new operating model, which became effective last June 2023. As you mentioned, there is growing recognition that ADB clients don't just need financial aid, but they also want to access the best knowledge, as well as technologies for quality and inclusive growth. And our participants today could act as partners in this endeavor. To give us more details on ADB's business opportunities and its operations, please welcome on stage Deputy Director General of Procurement, Portfolio, and Financial Management Department, Mr. Jeffrey Taylor.
Thank you, Gigi. Thank you, VP Bruce. Members of the board, distinguished guests, colleagues, I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2023 ADB Business Opportunities Fair. This is the first time we've held an in-person event since 2019, and I'm very impressed with the scale of attendance, considering the challenges we face today in 2023 on travel and its costs. I also think the events, when in person, lead to a richer exchange of ideas, views, and information than the virtual models. I would like to make a brief introduction of ADB. It's an international organization with 68 member countries and over 3,000 staff, representing 60 of those nationalities. We are committed to implementing ADB's long-term vision of an Asia Pacific that is prosperous, inclusive, and resilient. And this is encapsulated in our Strategy 2030. Our current portfolio consists of $114 billion. As noted by the VP, this is going to get bigger over the next few years. Of that $114 billion, 100 is allocated to sovereign projects and $14 billion to non-sovereign projects. In 2022, ADB financed the award of procurement, goods and consulting and non-consulting contracts in the amount of $10 billion. This excludes co-financing. This excludes the borrower's commitments to those same contracts. Of this amount, $6 billion were for construction projects, $2 billion for the procurement of goods, $550 million for consulting services, and the balance for non-consulting services. We've long recognized the importance of suppliers, contractors, and consultants in our portfolio. The reason for this is it is not ADB or its borrowers that implement the projects. It is that population of contractors, consultants and suppliers that implement the projects and bring them into physical being. One of the key takeaways from the pandemic is the importance of supply chains. These had been normally in day-to-day life of normality, invisible to us. It's only when they start to fail do we realize their criticality. For example, in vaccines, where you have a shortage of vials, a shortage of stoppers, a shortage of buffers, and so forth. The whole supply chain fails. When you have a border closure, the whole supply chain fails. So this has highlighted the importance of the criticality of supply chains, not just in the face of pandemic, but in the face of climate change, in the face of technology transfer, and south-south transfers, and so forth. I was impressed by the resilience and agility of the pharmaceutical supply chains. We need to see that same innovation, resilience, and agility, as it's critical to responding to the greatest challenge I think we see before us today, which is climate change, but also the digital divide, also poverty. These haven't gone away. Economic development remains important, but critically, it's impacted in many, many ways by climate change. Whilst the public sector may set targets around climate change, may set regulation, the goals and the standards to be adhered to and met come from the private sector. It's delivered by the people and the population in this room and outside of this room. So it's critical that ADB continues to engage with the private sector and learn from it in its procurement approaches and informs its borrowers of these approaches to ensure best quality, best outcomes, and sustainable outcomes as well. Throughout the pandemic, we continued a virtual model of opportunities delivery, and we'd reached a very large population through that. It was very efficient, and we will continue to do so. The numbers are around 15,000, 16,000 entities and individuals were delivered through the virtual model, but I do like these in-person models as well. They do come at a higher cost, but we will continue as we go forward with a hybrid model, with the cost efficiencies and the broader outreach of virtual models, but then the richer, more focused events such as this one. With your support, we are confident that our engagement and commitment to develop the region will remain on track and bring more benefits to our developing member countries. You're here not because we're particularly nice. You're here because we need you. And if we encourage qualitative competition, we get better outcomes for our clients. So that's my driver as a procurement person to this. We have the following very comprehensive agenda for the next 2 days, and I encourage you to attend as many events as you can. We will hear from high-level panels with representation from our external partners. You won't just have to listen to ADB, but you'll be listening to ADB clients and their experience of us. Critically important. And this will be, the first panel will be across several sectors and will be moderated by Gigi, which follows my session, my opening remarks here. We will then have a panel made up of our senior sector staff. VP Bruce mentioned the shift to provide more focus on sectors and countries, and we will be presenting a sectoral view. We are consolidating the expertise and knowledge under ADB's new operating model whilst simultaneously strengthening our client interfaces through the resident missions. This will look at energy, agriculture, natural resources, rural development, water, urban development, public sector management, governance, transport sector, transport, health, and education. As you can see, we cover a very broad range of sectors and subjects. The first day will close with a networking cocktail, and I hope to see you all there. I'll be there on my best behavior. And I think it will be a very good chance to start building informal relationships. These are critically important, especially in the consulting area, to actually understanding ADB. Consulting is very much a relational construct, so building those relationships at this event would be very good value for both ADB and the participants in this event. Tomorrow we'll open with a panel discussion on climate change and sustainable development. During this panel, ADB staff and external speakers will share their experience of promoting initiatives aimed at supporting better climate resilience, strengthening sustainability through public procurement. We will then have a presentation of opportunities for NGOs, a very critical part of the supply chain and very active across all of ADB's operations. This will follow with presentations from ADB thematic groups made up of environment, climate change, gender, social development, public-private partnerships, private sector operations, and high-level technology, cross-cutting thematics across all of ADB's operations. A networking lounge for the Business Opportunities Fair is available and open on both days at private dining rooms 2 to 4. If you go up the spiral staircase on the right-hand side, my right-hand side, your left, you'll be able to find networking lounge, which is space for you to meet and interact with others in this room and ADB staff. I would like to thank you once again for your interest in supporting ADB in its efforts to improve the lives of billions of people in Asia and Pacific. And I am confident that you will have a productive and interactive program over the coming 2 days. We welcome your questions, feedback, comments, so reach out to my PPFD colleagues with any questions you may have, and they will be happy to exchange views or point you in a direction to expertise as you require. We will now play a short video presenting ADB sectors and thematic groups where we believe your experience will make a great contribution. Thank you very much.
What an awesome video, isn't it? Thank you very much, Jeff, for your insights into ADB's portfolio and its priorities. Now, we will move on to the first panel discussion, where our distinguished panelists will share their experiences working with ADB in different funds. Before I introduce all the panelists, may I request them to please join me on stage. Aretha Samuel, Jose Ignacio Peñas Garcia, Namita Merothra, Simon Gorman, Hero Hearing. Please have your seat as I introduce each and every one of you. Aretha Samuel. Aretha is the Chief Technology Officer at Nobel Systems, headquartered in Redlands, California, USA. Nobel Systems has over 25 years of experience working in the water industry, delivering real-world solutions that integrate existing networks with modern technologies for collection and sharing of data. Aretha is highly regarded professional known for her expertise and contributions in the field of water and wastewater management to several ADB-funded projects. Thank you, Aretha. Jose Ignacio Peñas Garcia. Jose Ignacio is a director for the Philippines, representing consulting, engineering, and architecture firm EDOM, Spain, and team leader for MRT L4 project in the Philippines, financed by ADB. EDOM has 66 years of experience working in 125 countries in energy and oil and gas, industry, metals and minerals, health infrastructure, water and environment, and transport infrastructure, including airports, ports, bridges, tunnels, metros, and railways. Thank you, Jose Ignacio. Next is Namita Merotra. Namita is the Director of National Capital Region Transport Corporation Limited in New Delhi, India. She is an Indian Railways professional with rich experience of around 30 years in transport, planning, project financing, infrastructure, public-private partnerships, and related policy matters, including preparation of various model documents. She has been closely associated in doing business with ADB and implementing India's first regional rapid transit system project. Thank you, Namita. Next panelist is Simon Gorman. Simon is the Managing Director of the Reeves and Vico Group Australia, which is a group of specialist infrastructure contractors with over 30 years' experience throughout Australia and the Pacific. Excuse me. Reeves and Vico Group has carried out significant works for the ADB as well as other multilateral and government agencies. Simon has spent the last 20 years working on the leading projects in Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, Kiribati, Papua New Guinea, and other Pacific countries, as well as Indonesia and Sri Lanka. Thank you, Simon. Last, we have Hero Hearing. Hero is the key customer account leader for ADB in Mott MacDonald, a global engineering, management, and development consultancy based in the UK. It employs over 18,000 staff in 150 countries and considered as one of the largest employee-owned companies in the world. Hero has 40 years of experience in international development in the areas of agronomy, natural and water resources, management in Asia and Africa. Throughout his career, he has been working in many ADB-funded projects as team leader, project director, and business development manager. Thank you, Hero. Moving on to the discussion proper, I will be stating 2 questions wherein our panelists will give their thoughts for 4 minutes per question respectively. The timer will be shown on the monitor for our guidance. And it will be answered in according to how I introduce the panelists. First question, could you please share your experiences in securing contracts under ADB projects and implementing them? Aretha?
Hello, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Aretha Samuel. I am from Nobel Systems. We make software for water utilities, like it's asset management, work order software, and we make IoT devices that measure pressure across the water utilities. And so ADB provided good opportunities for us to showcase our product through hackathons. So we enrolled in a hackathon for remote monitoring in utilities, and we won that hackathon. We used that seed money, and actually we asked for more money to develop a project in Uzbekistan, We installed sensors there. We deployed our solution there, and they actually used our product successfully. We deployed 10 plus pressure monitoring devices there, and it kept track of any leaks, any drops in pressure. It will send an alert to the field staff, oh, there's a leak. And so they were better able to monitor their water utility. And so working with ADB was very transparent. They are very helpful, very responsive. And this actually led to another contract in Nepal. And so we deployed our same solution there. And we actually developed a customer app for the utilities customers to send requests, oh, there's no water here, etc. So it helped the utilities there. And so from this hackathon, from sending many emails to the right people in ADB, we were able to get the contracts that way.
Oh, thank you, Aretha. Jose Ignacio, your turn.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Salamat for inviting us, IDOM, to this challenging business opportunities fair. Yes, as Angelica, thank you very much for this introduction. As you said, we are a IDOM international company. We have the opportunity of being working with the ADB since 2009. Then, and mostly the 10% of our budget is coming from these multilateral companies, banks. In this regard, well, I would like to special thanks. I've been working personally with the ADB since 2010 because I was managing the MRT, the line 3 of the metro of Vietnam. And now we have the chance, the opportunity of working for the MRT4. We are the designers. We signed the contract with the ADB in November 2021. And we have been working here in the Philippines. Now we are a huge group of expats and Filipinos working here for this challenging transport project. And well, the experience of IDOM related to with the ADB comes, as I say, since 2009, and we have been working in different countries as China, Mongolia, Philippines, of course, Laos, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Then now we are focusing in this project in the MRT4, and we are working also for the Philippines Master Plan of Food Chain Logistics. And we are developing projects related to the environment and climate change and architectural. One of the projects that we directly affect to the ADB is that we were working in the life cycle assessment of the Asian Development Bank, this building. No? This building, yeah. Then, well, for us, what is really important, I think it's working with the ADB it's really good because it's very easy, and the procurement stages are really easy to follow and very transparent. And of course, for us, very important the multi-sector opportunities, as IDOM is as an engineering consultancy and architectural company worldwide, and of course the debriefing options. Also very important for us is to work with the ADB following the ADB rules. I mean, with the procurement, and the purpose of the rules of the ADB are really good for all the projects. I mean, all the rules related to resettlement, the environment, economic and financial, and of course the climate change are challenging nowadays more than even in the past. Then for us to implement those standards in our project it's a very important thing. Then in this regard, again, thank you, Salamat everyone, for this opportunity, and available for you for any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose Ignacio. We will be opening the floor later for questions, and should you have any questions, you may want to raise it to your Events Air application on your mobile phone. Thank you, Sir Ignacio. Now, may we hear it from Namita.
Hello. Yeah. Good morning. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to talk about the regional rapid transit system that NCRTC is implementing in India. It is a $4 billion project that is providing regional connectivity to the urban and the peri-urban area from the national capital of Delhi to a city called Meerut. And about 25% of the funding for this project is coming through ADB. Financing from ADB is one of the reasons, I would say, that has enabled us to commission, we are ready for commissioning 17 kilometers of this rail-based project within a 4-year period, despite COVID. And we are looking forward for the second project also that is coming up, which is going to be approved in the near future. That will also be funded through ADB. The primary reasons, I would say that ADB is part of the success of commissioning this 17-kilometer section, as well as commissioning the whole corridor, maybe even before the scheduled time, is the kind of confidence that the international contracting community feels when the project is funded through ADB, because they're assured of funding being available, the funds being available, the payments being in time. As a project entity, what we encountered was, we found ADB to be extremely flexible in the procurement processes also. We prepared the standard bidding documents with them, and it was not a one-way process where we simply, copied the document that was available, the standard document. We had intensive discussions. There were areas where we thought that certain, provisions needed some change, and we thought that that would provide more efficiency in the procurement, and that was given a good thought by ADB, and in most of the cases it was accepted, and we followed those documents. Another fact was that because ADB came in with 25% of the funding, another 25% was brought in by other MDBs, that is IIB and NDB. They also brought in funds to the project. So about 50% of the project cost right now is considered for funding through the MDBs. The conditions of contract that ADB follows, the general conditions of FIDIC, that also brings in a balance between the employer and the contractor or the consultant, the contractor, and that also brings in a lot of confidence to the contracting community that that in the implementation of the project there will be the international guidelines will be followed. So I think we found that partnering with ADB really helped us to move on, and we were able to settle almost all, I would say in fact all the contracts in the first go itself that were funded through ADB. Thank you.
Thank you, Namita. Simon?
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Everybody awake? I'm representing Reeves in Barco. We're a general works contractor who does work for the Asian Development Bank, predominantly in the environmental and water infrastructure markets, but doing also some health projects and other things through the Pacific. We concentrate on the Pacific, but have also wandered into other parts of Asia over the journey. Our first contract, and I think the message here is of hope if there's people in the audience who haven't worked with the ADB before, it is quite easy. It's not quite easy, that's wrong. It is possible to start with the ADB and to develop a business that makes the ADB a part of your portfolio. Our first project was in Ponape in Micronesia, which we bid in late 2011, and after a 12-month evaluation period, which was a long evaluation period, we were finally awarded that project. And we've moved on since then to do a number of water and sanitation projects throughout the Pacific. Firstly, we secured work by being good at what we did in our own home country in Australia. We didn't head off into the harder to get to regions and harder to operate in regions with in a development framework without being good at doing water and wastewater projects in our own home country. And I think that's pretty important before you start taking your expertise offshore. 50% of our work is in our own home country at the moment, and that's moved from 100 to now being 50%. And we currently have 3 active projects with the Asian Development Bank with a value of about $34 million. So relatively small contractors in the ADB portfolio, but big enough for us. Those projects are a desalination plant in Kiribati, water networks in the Solomon Islands, and some power and water work in the Marshall Islands. So all places that are, long plane rides away from anywhere. 25% of our current work currently comes through the multilaterals. So of the offshore work, 25% of it comes through the multilaterals, with ADB making up a large part of that 25%. There'll be plenty of discussion in terms of securing and implementing contracts around we find the ADB's processes quite rigid, but very transparent. You need to follow the rules. There's no getting around it. You can't put in bids that are non-conforming. But we do. We see that we target ADB work. We think it's great work, and we see that bidding process is very transparent. We're also focusing, starting to focus on Indonesia at the moment, and that's, the challenge of moving into a different area, and all the businesses that work with the ADB will find themselves in a position where you have to set up country offices or country registrations and things like that, and they take a long time and take a lot of effort. But, in summary, since 2012, we've worked in many beautiful countries on ADB projects. And we feel that we have an opportunity, and we're given an opportunity by the multilateral banks and by our clients, the individual countries, to make a difference to health outcomes through our work on water and sanitation, and we have many happy staff because of the opportunities we're given. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Last, may we hear from Hero?
Yep. Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me here. As mentioned, I'm representing Mott MacDonald from the UK. Mott MacDonald as a company has a long-standing relation already with the Asian Development Bank, mainly in the area of water, which is water resources management and water supply and sanitation, in urban development, resilient cities and climate. Less so at the moment in areas of and sectors of transport and energy. But we hope to also address those areas in the future. In 2022, we were ranked 4th in the top 5 of the UK list in the fact sheet, and 2nd for the Dutch market, trading under Euroconsult Mott MacDonald. And in that year, we had about 20 projects, both loan and TA projects under implementation. To directly go through what does it take to win projects with ADB. I think it is very much important to be up to date with the project pipeline, be very much up to speed to that. I have regular contacts with the ADB headquarters here in Manila, but also with the resident missions, because that's where most of the projects take off. And in addition to that, for the loan projects, it is very much important to be aware and very much informed with the ministry or department who is the implementing agency for those loan projects. You have to be ahead of the curve, which means that if you hear about a project only at the start of, or at the time of notice or after expression of interest, then you are basically too late to step on board. We normally have at the time of a notice and expression of interest our partners, national and international, if that is the case, lined up. And we have our potential team already ready for the implementation of such a project. If you look at the team, what is important, the team leader, in general, the team needs to have good awareness of the country, the sector, of course, but it's also important to have ADB experiences in order to qualify. In addition, especially with the PPTAs, or the technical TRTAs as they are called these days, it's important to have and be fully aware of the knowledge of the safeguard policies and the procedures. Those are quite substantial and occasionally tedious, but especially the environmental and social, but also the indigenous people policies, gender and climate these days are important. Our main areas of expertise are countries Bangladesh, Indonesia and India. In Bangladesh we are implementing at the moment 2 projects, which is the Flood Riverbank Erosion Risk Management Investment Program. That is with the Bangladesh Water Development Board. We are also involved in the Dhaka Environmental Water Supply Project, constructing one of the largest wastewater treatments in Asia. And we have recently concluded the preparation of the Climate Resilient Livelihood Improvement and Watershed Management Project in the Chittagong Health Tracts. In Indonesia, we were in 2 framework contracts, and we did work in water supply and sanitation and in the irrigation sector. In Pontianak, we prepared the Gombasa irrigation system in Central Sulawesi, and we did a Merauke irrigation system project in Papua. One important project I just would like to refer to is we are on the South Asia Facility for Resilient Cities, which is a new or relatively new interesting framework concept covering 7 countries. It is for the ADB important because it has limited the cost of consultant fees. For us, it is interesting because it provides a stable pipeline of task orders, and with an arrangement where fees are agreed, and a range of fees for the international senior, junior, international and national positions, it gives an opportunity, especially for the junior international consultants, to get experience in ADB projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiro. That goes for the first round. For our panelists stating their experiences. Experiences may be good or bad. What I'm hearing are relatively good experiences with ADB. Sounds very good. And one of the panelists mentioned about the challenges, and that gives us the segue to the next question. What challenges have you experienced at both stages, and how did you address these challenges? We're given again 4 minutes per person to respond. Aretha?
Oh, hello. The challenges is finding the right people to contact at ADB. We actually contacted our U.S. Chamber of Commerce with their leads in ADB, and we were able to get contacts that way. But also working in the hackathons really helped as well. And once we were in contact, they were very responsive. Implementing our solution, sometimes countries have very strict software in the cloud laws, so that bureaucracy we have to work through. But I think the challenge is the clients themselves that are receiving our product should be on board, should be willing to see the benefit of our solution and be our champion, and thankfully they were, and that way we could implement these projects very quickly. We could implement our software very fast, and they were appreciative, so yes.
Thank you, Aretha. For those who want to raise their questions, please put it in your Events Air app, and we will open the floor later, and we will choose which one is relevant for this session. Thank you, Aretha. Moving on, Jose Ignacio.
Thank you very much again. Well, the challenges I will personally directly talk about my project, the MRT4. Then it has had a lot of challenge, no? But I think basically the biggest one that we have been facing, it's all related to the implementation of the standards worldwide. No? In our project, sometimes to have a clear idea about which standards has to be followed, it has been a very big challenge. I mean, we have been mixing standards from Europe, standards from America, standards, of course, from the Philippines. Then this has been well, a good way to try to make like a common standard for the future railways here in the Philippines. Another challenge that I have to face in this project was related to the acquisition of the land, no? The resettlement. Here we had to learn a lot about how to manage these kind of things. And finally, I think we are getting very good results. And in the implementation now is ongoing. And I think it's a very good rule from the ADB that before starting the construction phase, all these things related to the resettlement has to be finished, then to allow the construction companies in the second phase start with no issues. Then I think these are the biggest two challenges that we are facing in the implementation of the ADB project.
Thank you, Jose Ignacio. I was reminded that if you want to raise questions specifically to one of the panelists, please indicate the name in the application. Thank you, Jose Ignacio. Now let's move on to Namita.
So as a complex project, there are a number of challenges that we faced, but I would like to talk of a few where, with the help of ADB, we were able to solve for them. So the first was when we were scheduling the repayments for the project, and being a transportation project, all of us know that the revenues build up slowly. So ADB was the kind of repayment schedule that we prepared was the annuity type, in which there was ballooning at the end so that it would match the cash flows for the project. So the way the cash flows have, the repayments have been scheduled is, as the revenue builds up, the repayments will also increase. So there are higher repayments at the fag end of the 25-year repayment period, 25-year loan period. Plus, we were also provided an 8-year moratorium. So during which we are required only to pay the interest and not repay any part of the principal amount of the loan. So that's one great advantage that we had with the ADB project funding. There was a stage during the procurement process where in one of the contracts there was a considerable amount of delay in providing the NOC for the project, for the particular package. And then NCRTC actually wrote to ADB saying that considering our own timelines of execution, this is really taking a long time. And ADB was kind enough to actually review the procurement process, and in a particular process, you know, they actually cut down the time period for in all the future packages, so that they cut down one of these stages within their internal processes so that the projects could be cleared faster. Then ADB has been able to provide us with a number of experts, because we were doing the regional rate for the first time, and we were bringing in state-of-the-art technology, which was not available within the country, so we needed a lot of expert guidance on that. So through the TA grant, the technical assistance grants that were provided to us, we were able to source experts internationally from Europe and the best in the world for track, for signaling, etc., who would advise us on the kind of technology that would be suitable for the country. And we use their grants extensively. I'm happy to tell you that actually none of the grants have lapsed, and we've utilized them completely. They also, technology was also an area where we wanted to do some pilots, and through these grants we were able to bring in, we created a BIM lab in NCRTC. We have done solar daylighting, a small project on solar daylighting. We have also done something on passenger screening so that we don't have to frisk the passengers. So, and also on acoustics. So there are a number of such small projects, small technologies which we were able to experiment with and maybe use them on a larger scale later on in the project. ADB also helped us through one of their grants of JFPR to focus on gender and on women empowerment. So along the corridor, it's a relatively conservative area where women are not really empowered, and through this grant, we are providing skilling to the women over there, and also the first and last mile connectivity. For that, we are providing training to them to run taxis or to run e-autos so that, you know, it is integrated with the project. So these are the kind of things which we have been able to do with ADB, and that has helped us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Namita. Let's hear it from Simon.
Thank you, Gigi. People didn't warn you that you shouldn't ask me what the challenges are. So, look, I think challenges, we should frame it in that there's challenges and opportunities, effectively. And just in terms of tender, you know, and we were asked to respond in 2 stages, the tendering and procurement stage. I think the challenge is that there is little scope for innovation in responses once the tender documents are issued and the tender is issued. Perhaps, you know, there's opportunities, but certainly what we need to do in terms of that is to make sure that we engage with the ADB both prior and once the tender documents have been issued, to make sure that we request, in total transparency, request an opportunity to offer an innovation. Yeah? You know, it's in some of the water and sanitation stuff that we do, we're challenged not to be able to offer the innovations that we might know about that may be appropriate for the countries that we work in. The other thing with the ADB, and this is not unique to the ADB, it's unique to any government that is reliant upon process, is time. You know, ADB processes to get to market and then to award are long-winded, and therefore, you know, as contractors, we're challenged not to rely upon a certain project coming to fruition at a certain time. You know, there are real issues about that, but that's just a recognition and making sure that the portfolio is moving along through a number of different opportunities. The other one, you know, and it relates back to time and to tendering, is currency fluctuation. We are seeing enormous currency fluctuation with our own currency and with the US banks and with the US exchange rates. And so there are opportunities within the Asian Development Bank procurement processes to make sure that you can quarantine that risk, and we are doing that a lot more now than we used to, I think, after some pretty heavy lessons. In terms of implementation, for us it's the remoteness of the work and the challenges on staff availability. I think the world is challenged at the moment on good technical staff availability, and we're feeling the pinch as well. And coupled in with that is the cultural appropriateness of the staff that we take out to the locations that we go to. In implementation, payment mechanisms from the ADB are long and bureaucratic, and I think there is an opportunity for improvement, certainly on the contracts that we've run. But you know, we're in a digital age now where we can see Ubers being paid with it as we exit the building without seeing anything. And I think there's probably improvements there. And there's a conflict for us, and it's a challenge in our own thing, is the difference between being able to offer technical excellence and the simplicity of operation for our clients, who are the countries, and that ongoing operations and maintenance considerations. They're always challenges. Safeguards, you know, there is a very high concentration by the multilateral banks on safeguards. I am a little disappointed in relation to the focus on compliance rather than the focus on selling the story of the benefits of those safeguards, you know, and it's a difficult challenge, you know, it's a real. The other one is, and it's not a challenge, it's just a recognition that our clients with the ADB, our clients on ADB projects are actually the national countries, and we need to make sure that our staff and the people that work with us understand that our client is the country, you know, is the government of the day in that country and not the ADB. The ADB is fantastic technical facilitator and funders, but we need to make sure we understand who our client is. And finally, we just recognise it's a privilege to do, you know, the ADB work, and thanks for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you, Simon. Last hero.
Sorry. Yeah, so a few challenges. It's occasionally still some budget considerations. And I'm always saying to my colleagues, do a quick calculations whether the project management inputs fit with the total fees structure before you spend a lot of energy on the project and waste time on that. Luckily, the fee structure has over the years improved, but occasionally, as I said, there is still a project because of budgetary constraints is either very tight or not possible, at least for Mott MacDonald to implement. As my previous speaker already hinted at, there are difficulties these days in finding the right staff, especially the team leaders. As I mentioned in my previous talk, especially the Resilience City project is interesting in that regard because we are working on getting expertise with ADB projects as part of the implementation. Occasionally you see that the input of the team leader is intermittent, sometimes 50% or even down to 30%. That creates occasionally some problems and difficulties because it's difficult to provide the leadership that is required and the quality assurance that is needed, especially in loan projects where we are doing the construction supervision, where you are also as a team leader responsible and signing off to the contractors' payment certifications. And that is then occasionally a constraint if the input of the team leader is very limited. A final point I would like to make is the flexibility in home time and field time requirements. The COVID time gave us experience that field inputs were not always possible because of limitations in travel and travel restrictions. Nevertheless, the projects were successfully implemented and were running well. After the COVID situation, we are back to the very strict regime again in many cases where there is a division between home and field time, and that is very much fixed. I would plea for some flexibility, not wanting to go back to the COVID situation, of course, but a bit in flexibility in home and field time would be appreciated. I think that's most of the observations that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hero. As I will, okay. Before I raise the questions from the events air, just want to share thank you so much. And I have noticed the facial reaction, the shift. Initially, the good experience with the energy, and then on the challenges, something like, you know, the challenges we have. And, you know, feedback about the process is very, very good on how to improve things. We need the feedback. And I think I heard that challenges are opportunities for growth. And that's my takeaway for today. And whatever challenges that I've been hearing from our panelists do have the solutions or we're able to address. It's an ongoing process. So, moving on to the questions that were raised on the events air. Thank you, Julian, for helping me. How many questions do we have? What's the time for now, like how many questions can I raise? Okay. 3 questions. Okay, this is not addressed to anyone, so any one of you can grab the mic. What are the chances of a newcomer in ADB to win a prime contract? What can you advise? Again, what are the chances of a newcomer in ADB to win a prime contract? What can you advise? Anyone? Thank you, Simon.
Do you want me, is that
Yeah,
okay?
Simon, and then Hero.
Well, so all I'd say is that we were a prime contractor and we won our first contract with the ADB without having to go through the whole thing. But we were realistic with the expectations about the size of contract that we would target and whether it completely matched our own abilities. Yes, if that happens, then it's quite easy to win another contract or a new contract as a newcomer with the ADB. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Simon. Hero?
Yeah, I would advise a newcomer to line up initially with a more familiar partner already, get experience, build up a portfolio, and build up a project reference list. And in my experience, it's very difficult to get as a lead partner an immediate contract from scratch. So it would be good to line up initially as a sub or a joint venture partner with a lead partner.
Thank you, Hero. Anyone else before I jump on to the next one? All right. Hi, Mabel here from Siemens Energy Philippines. How can consultants, private entities be involved early on in ADB projects in order to better collaborate? Again, how can consultants, private entities be involved early on in ADB projects in order to better collaborate? Anyone?
Well, I'm not sure whether I understand the question correctly, but if it is involvement of a company in the project formulation, as I mentioned, it is very much important to be aware of what's going on in country, be in touch with the implementing agencies who are the ultimate client and for whom these projects are made. So in that sense, I would say line up and have established contacts with the ministries and departments for whom these projects are prepared.
Thank you, Hero. Jose Ignacio, and then Namita.
Well, I'm not sure to understand perfectly the question, but I think to work with the ADB, what you have to do is to, in the early stages, is to, of course, to understand the rules of working with the ADB. Then, in this way, what I recommend to all the companies is that they be familiar with the ADB CMS. Then once you are okay with these rules, you understand, then of course you have to follow the procurement rules to be aware of all the procurement processes that are mostly daily published in the ADB. Then once you are interested in any kind of work that can be suitable for your company, pues, going for it.
Thank you, Jose Ignacio. Before I go to Namita, ADB loves abbreviation, and Jose Ignacio mentioned CMS. For the newcomers, CMS is, am I correct, Consultant Management System. Thank you, Jose Ignacio. Namita.
So I think for the consultants to come on board, we have deployed a number of consultants, but I think the opportunities come through the bidding system. It's not something that, on a negotiated basis or something that you can associate with the project that is being funded through ADB. There are laid down guidelines and rules, so you need to build your credentials and, as suggested, be on the CMS system as well. And there would be a number of opportunities coming by way of bidding, and that is the way that you can get associated with projects.
Thank you, Namita. It's getting interesting. I've been receiving a lot of questions now. You just let me know if, how many meets we have. left, another question addressed to Simon. Simon, you mentioned that by the time an opportunity has been released, if you don't have a team in place, you are too late to respond. What is your advice for getting ahead of the opportunities? I'll repeat. Simon, you mentioned that by the time an opportunity has been released, if you don't have a team in place, you are too late to respond. What is your advice for getting ahead of the opportunities?
Yeah, I think you've got to define. It's not so much I said that when the opportunity's been released, because the opportunities are on the ADB website for up to 2 to 3 years of being tracked through the system of becoming a project, and therefore you have plenty of time to watch a project develop. What I said is that when a tender is released, if you haven't thought about how your team may respond to that tender and who you may have working that thing, then it is very late, because you're not given a long time. You're given about 6 weeks to put together a team and put a tender together. So you want to be well aware of the opportunity and to have thought about what may be coming into that. And the other thing I said was that when the tender is released, you need to be very specific about asking questions about something you might be thinking about putting into your response, so that it's not automatically rejected as soon as it comes through. So you need to be transparent with the other bidders about what you might be thinking about, but you also need to be, to rule yourself out of being ruled out if you put something forward and the tender panel want to reject that.
Thank you, Simon. Now, question to Aretha. I am Mike Suderdun. Apologies for, I may have mispronounced your name. I am Mike from MDF, a firm dedicated to empowering people, creating impact. Question to Aretha. Could you tell more about hackathons? How often? Different themes? Where to find them?
Yes, I subscribe to the ADB newsletter, email. Regularly, they'll post some hackathons. Well, there's one for climate change right now. So yeah, it's a good opportunity. We participated in 2 hackathons. This is during the pandemic, and it was a good opportunity to put our name, get exposure. And then, we didn't get much pilot money, but then we negotiated, and then we got a bigger project. So I think go on the ADB website, sign up to be a consultant, and receive those emails, and so you can participate in those hackathons. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Aretha. I believe we have one more question for Ignacio of EDOM, my seatmate. Could you please explain how the resettlement of the population was conducted in your project? Was a participatory approach implemented? Again, could you please explain how the resettlement of the population was conducted in your project? Was a participatory approach implemented, Ignacio?
Well, it's not an easy question to be answered, but the resettlement the resettlement in all the countries. Fortunately, with EDOM, I've been working in 8 countries. Then resettlement is always a really, really big challenge and issue. Then, in this regard, in the Philippines, we are having the help, of course, of the ADB, and we are having all the information is being provided by all the LGUs, the local government units. Then in this regard, they are helping us to get the information of all the owners of the houses and lots. The difficulty is that sometimes the cadastral system is not very accurate. Then it's a little bit difficult. We have to negotiate, or we have to talk to the official ones. We will say that the people that has official documents and the unofficial resettled people. Then in this way, well, it's I will not say difficult. It's the common policy in many countries. Then we help with the help of the ADB. We are progressing step by step, and with the intention of have all the lots ready for the construction regarding to my project I hope in 1 year.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You said it was difficult, but you were able to answer it perfectly well. Last one. You know, I'm receiving cues here that yes, you can still ask another one. Good. We can learn more. Okay, address to anyone who wants to grab the mic, please feel free. When bidding projects in ADB as newcomers, is it necessary to use candidates who has previous ADB experiences? Again, when bidding projects in ADB as newcomers, is it necessary to use candidates who has previous ADB experiences? Anyone? Thanks, Hero.
Yeah. Yeah, as I already referred to, I think especially for a team leader candidate, it would be very important to have team leader experience with ADB, and more particular if you are working on the TRTAs, because there you have to follow quite stringent procedures and policies that are specific to ADB and ADB implementation. If you, as a team leader, don't have the experience of the documents that need to be produced, I think with the time pressure that is normally in TRTA, you will be struggling with the implementation and the timely release and the timely finalization of your implementation of the project.
Thank you, Hero. Anyone else?
So in our case, where individual consultants were appointed through the technical assistance, there were many local experts who were appointed who did not have any ADB experience. So it depends on the TOR of the particular consultancy. If there are areas that, there may be a consultant who doesn't have any previous experience, but by himself, he may be very good at it. So there's always a first time for somebody to get into the process. So we had a number of them who did not have any previous experience with ADB.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share their thoughts before we close the first panel discussion? Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, Julian, for helping me choosing the right questions for this panel discussion. And big thanks to our panelists for sharing your perspective. And may I request the audience to give a round of applause to our dear panelists for our first panel. I would like to thank everyone, especially the people who raised their questions. A very interactive session indeed. Thank you. We will be having several panel discussions. I'm encouraging everyone to please raise your questions and be interactive for the next 2 days. I would like to thank the participants again, we will have a break now. We'll have a morning break for 15 minutes. And please come back to this auditorium for the next exciting session on ADB's procurement system. So thank you, everyone, again, and see you after 15 minutes. Round of applause for everyone.